the topic is the quest for new customers. And our moderator is Dr. Raviseshadri. Welcome, Ravi. Ravi is a strategic advisor for insurance and Insurtech based in Chennai. Ankit Goenka. Hi, Ankit. Welcome. Ankit is the head of customer service at Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. Dr. Roy K. Sharma. Dr. Sharma, welcome. Upendra Namburi. He is the founder of Ideaearth Labs.
When you talk to anyone, people always ask, what is there for me? This is what anybody will ask. When I go to an insurance company, talk about technology, and say these are the things that you need to develop, okay, I'll spend money on that. But what is that I get out of it? Whether it is customer acquisition, profitability, or making my underwriting easy, or my claims process easy. And it should always weigh between the cost that I spend and the benefit that I derive. Everybody does a cost-benefit analysis. So naturally, whenever we go and advocate to anyone a particular product, now I go to an Insurtech company and say, boss, these are the new products this company has developed. And some of the technology companies take their own sweet time to produce that software and come. By the time the software comes, the product is outdated because market is so dynamic, things are changing so fast. So somewhere the insurance companies expect faster. Are you able to do it? Then it's okay, I'll do it, but what is there for me? Everyone is looking at whether it's a customer, insurance or Insurtech is looking at what is there for me. And coming to this session, it's all about how exactly the new customer acquisition can happen with the help of digital transformation and how customer experience can be enhanced. We have eminent panelists over here. I'd like to hear from them. Apart from you, I would also like to learn from them as to what all things that could be happening in the new era. Mr. Upendra Namburi, he runs his own company, has a wonderful experience in the technology, banking, customer experience, and also author of 3 books. He has written 3 books. A person who is well-versed as an academician, as well as a mentor for a few startup companies. Upendra has been, and incidentally, he has been my colleague also in AXA. So we know each other very well. Welcome, Upendra. Now, we have Mr. Sharma from Tata. And I was really happy. I thought he was a Tata AIA Life head of customer support. But during the interactions, just before the lunch, I came to know that he is from the Tata Group and been coming from the Tata Group and from IIM Ahmedabad back to Tata Group. Welcome, sir, for this session. And then he is very clear. This is going to be a session where we are going to about what exactly is the expectations in AI, what is that we are expecting to do, etc. So I'm sure that all of us will find the insights to be very helpful from you, sir. Third, we have Ankit from Bajaj. Incidentally, 2 companies personally I respect a lot in the insurance space in India is Tata's and Bajaj. I'm very happy both of them are here. I am privileged to interview or have this thing with both of them. Ankit has been heading their customer support and in various forums we have been talking about how exactly Bajaj has been transforming the customer experience in a big way. And now I will add something more to him, ask him some questions of, yes, you have been doing a lot of things on customer experience, but as far as insurance is concerned, it's an emotional contract. It's not about technology doing everything. Somewhere emotions play a huge role, and Bajaj has been doing it. But combining with technology, what is it you have done or what is it you have been? So Ankit, would like to hear from you.
Thanks a lot for that introduction. And as you mentioned, right, the insurance contract, right, what's in it for the customer, right? Because eventually, if you really look at, especially in GI, you know, when a customer is purchasing a policy, what is the customer getting in return? At that point, it's only an email with the policy document, right? Like unlike the life insurance, there is no guaranteed return. There is nothing like that. Hey, you know, if you've taken a health insurance, you will have to get ill and I will pay you. That's not the thing, right? It's more to do with that in case there is a need, then we are there. right? So GI actually is very strange from that standpoint. When you look at the entire customer experience, because as a customer of a GI product, you actually only experience when you take a claim, because that's the moment of truth. And we believe we are not in a business of selling insurance. We believe that we are in a business of paying claims, right? Yes, there is a myth in the market that insurance companies do not pay claim, right? But the reality is, if you look at various numbers, if I only talk about, let's say, health insurance, right? More than lakh crore of reimbursements and cashless claims have been paid by the insurance companies to the hospitals and to the customers. Now, that's not a small amount. And then we say that, yes, the insurance companies do not pay claims, but that's the myth. Now, coming back to the topic of customer experience, and you talk about empathy. Now, if I club all this and I say that, yes, claims is the moment of the truth, what we did, one of the examples is, for our health insurance business, right, we rolled out an industry first initiative called Care Angels. Now, these Care Angels are physical as well as virtual. There, the physical as well as the digital part was used. Now, simply what they do, if there is a customer at a hospital, they meet the attendant and tell the attendant that you take care of the patient and I'll take care of the rest. Now, if you really think from an overall perspective, and we look at customer needs in this entire claim experience, it is not the patient, the end customer, who's going through that experience of claim, because that person is actually getting treated. So he or she does not actually know what is going behind the scene. It is the attendant who's going through, running from one desk to another to get the document signed, to ensure that the bill given by the hospital is absolutely correct, and then chasing the TPA desk to ensure that the bill is sent to the insurance company, and then the insurance company reverts. That's actually a very big pain area. When we visited the hospitals, we saw that this is the open space, and if we can tackle this, we'll actually be creating a much wider experience. Because when that customer gets discharged, this attendant becomes the brand ambassador of the insurance company. Not only for the patient, but also for many others. Right? And that's the engagement model. As a proof of concept, we went out and rolled out. And today, around 78% of the hospital claims are being serviced by these Care Angels. Right? Yes, our endeavor is to take this number much higher. We will not touch 100%, because we don't want to get into, some of the hospitals which only there is one claim, some nursing, home because, as you mentioned, the cost, the viability will not come. But at the same time, if you really think through, this is also a cost, because they are not generating the revenue, right? They are adding cost to an incident which is already a cost to the company, because claims is the biggest cost for an insurance company. But there we said that, yes, let's invest in this piece, because this will enhance the overall experience. This will actually help me to get more customers. It is not only about, you look at the customers who are prospects and who are coming to you or your agents to buy insurance. But these stuff also helps. And we have actually seen over a period of time, because this particular Care Angel, when this Care Angel actually services the attendant and in tune the end customer, tomorrow that attendant or that customer, let's say, has a motor insurance getting to renew, they will automatically call this Care Angel and say that, hey, why don't you renew or take over my motor insurance from X company to you.
Thanks, Ankit. That is a very insightful information. And talking about the cross-selling, I'd like to move on to Dr. Sharma. All of us, right from morning, have been talking about artificial intelligence, digital transformation, etc., that's happening across the globe. And somewhere this AI should help us in customer acquisition or increasing the existing customers' more contribution to our systems. as a person who's a professor, it's a doctorate, plus also today heading the customer experience of one of the well-renowned companies in India, what is your experience on artificial intelligence helping in generation of new customers?
Thank you. Thank you to the audience and the panel members. The gentleman right to me has written 3 books before the AI came in picture, so I'm still struggling to complete my book. A promise given to my professor as well as mentor. I draw inspiration from him. First, a disclaimer. What I'm speaking over here is out of my research and experience, nothing to do with my profile. You tweet it and quote it and reshare it at your own risk. My risk is not involved. Now, looking at the holistic picture of AI, what I'll just add to what Sir said is that earlier we were only looking at insurance as an incident, as a product, and a means of revenue by the company. What has happened post-liberalization, post-entry of other players, which are multinational players, foreign players, is that we have started mapping the life journey of the customer. And where all can we have an intervention? Insurance renewal or a fresh insurance is just one standalone aspect. All other aspects are now being looked with a fresh lens. There's where AI can come to your rescue. From a childbirth to the departure of a family member, you have become a partner and you are on each data point incrementally adding to the business. So a childbirth, if you see, the product has also got changed now. On a childbirth also, you are offering a product which takes care of the mother and the child. The moment the child grows, your financial liabilities grow, you are giving products which are helping him to get the child a good education, higher education, marriage, your own retirement, your health throughout the life. Now, all these data points, when plotted on a scale and put in a system, which we call largely a AI, which generates information, is where the crux is. You don't need to run for 99% customer. You run behind just 1% customer whose entire journey is mapped with you. And you will have enough revenue to generate. Earlier, the data which was processed one by one, thanks to the software developments, and I was also interacting with one of the players over here. Now you can process data in batches. So I can plan my stuff that next year I may have so many people having children. I can plan a product accordingly. I can service that product accordingly. Next year, I have so many people in this age bracket which are susceptible to getting a cardiac arrest. I can plan my products accordingly. I can plan my finances accordingly. How much volume of policies do I need to add? I'm adding another layer to it. You don't just need to add the number of policies. At certain risk points, using the AI, you can also reduce the number of policies which you can issue in a particular year, looking at the risk which is built in over there. So this is how plotting the life cycle.
Plotting the life cycle,
And
very good.
aiding it with the AI tools.
AI tools, fantastic.
Will get you more and more
and more new customers. Thank you, Sharma ji, for that. And as I move on to Upendra, he has been mentoring good number of startup companies in the insurance space, in Insurtech space. I'd like to learn from him when we are talking about artificial intelligence. On one side, there are a lot of regulations that come from regulator. I'm not saying only IIA, because I operate in across the globe. There are different regulators. There are certain challenges which you face from the regulators. This is something which you can do. This is something which you cannot do. At the same time, you also have customer expectations. When I say customer expectation, this morning, Manoji was talking about Amazon. In today's world, people know if I book something in Amazon, it comes tomorrow or day after. But they pay the 1,250 to get it immediately, Amazon Prime. Because all these days you never had the phone, but you want it today evening. They have understood the psychology where people want it immediately. They want it in a jiffy. I'm prepared to pay any money for it. This is a customer expectation. I have taken insurance policy. There is a claim. Vehicle met with an accident. I want the claim to be settled in 2 days' time, 3 days. That's the expectation. Regulator says you need to follow these guidelines. So there's a challenge for the insurance companies to do it fast, at the same time complying with your regulations. And what customer expectation is different, regulators are different. How do you feel, Upendra, that AI can help in balancing these things?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Upendra, and I'm going to change it very rapidly. Ravi changed and transformed the question. Okay, just kidding. So I've worked with regulators across banking, insurance, and a few other industries. I've also worked with technologies, ecosystem stakeholders across banking, payments, loyalty, insurance. I think the first thing is, for the few years that I spent in insurance, if I were to compare, and I'm saying this in a very positive tone, and I'm going to be very constructive, the regulatory bodies need to be listening more, and in my experience, they do listen if you make the effort of sitting with them. I've sat with the RBI and explained, this is the opportunity, this is the problem statement, this is how I'm compliant, and this is why I'm suggesting what I'm suggesting. Quite often what I see is conversations with regulators usually have mistrust. So if a regulator believes that you're trying to pull a fast one on me, you're never going to build trust. So whether it is the IRDA, IIB, the RBI, multiple other regulatory bodies, I think it is the responsibility of anyone on this side to sit down with them and explain in a very simple language, this is a problem, this is what we're trying to do, this is my understanding of governance, compliance, process, rules, standards. Now tell me, what is your view? Even if you see with the sandbox and multiple other things, I think the IRDA has progressed. Second, I don't think the conversation is about AI. I think the conversation is about data and intelligence. And I think there are very basic level conversations to be had within organizations itself. I was at a forum last week, Bharat FinTech, where one conversation with a banker was, you are implementing 7 or 8 AI ML solutions. Does that mean you're going to have 7 or 8 intelligent bodies and systems working within your organization? And honestly, they hadn't thought through it. So would I have one ML for a service bot? Would I have another ML for sales? Would I have another ML for operations? And how are these going to work? So Ravi, I think to your question, I think before we go to the regulator, I think it's important for us as members of the industry, and I'm not differentiating between a broker, an insurance company, an Insurtech, no. I think we are all responsible members. We need to first sit down and figure out what problem are we trying to solve. Second, quite often that what I've noticed is in this industry and across industries, when the customer today doesn't look at insurance as an insurance company from their expectations, right? Why? Because all of us, as Ravi said, now are used to 10-minute delivery. So as human beings, we transpose those expectations to other service requirements. So quite often, when we hear customers saying, I want my policy in 10 minutes, I think we need to step back and understand the fact that she is now receiving a loaf of bread in 10 minutes. That is why she is saying. Our usual instantaneous reaction is, what the hell? Pardon the French. That's our first reaction. How can customers be crazy like this? I think we first need to understand why the customer is asking what she is asking for. A lot of the friction gets taken away. Okay? Second, I've also seen so many use cases which can address the transforming customer requirement if we just break our department silos, genuinely put the customer at the center, have a layer of empathy, and create a solve. I was having a conversation with another colleague out here. You can actually roll out a very good functioning AI ML solution in 30 days flat. It is not a 6-month exercise. You define the problem, you define the boundaries, all right? Now, the question I think about AI and ML in the context of the regulator is important. It's like going to a parent and saying, I have a problem, I don't know what it is. I think we are too early right now to seek a regulatory dialogue for AI and ML. That's my view as an industry. I think banking and payments are a little more evolved, okay? I think where the regulator and all the regulators are relevantly taking the front foot is in data. So if you were to ask me, my simplistic views, Ravi, is I think all of us should keep our hand on our heart and first start having very hard conversations on data. Because after this massive speech on data, can go to Crawford Market and pick up all your data at 5 paise a pop. That's a reality, and that's how most of the telecalling outbound centers work in India today, right? Now, AI ML works on data. So first, I think the conversation should be, what is the vocabulary of data that we genuinely want to build our business on? Because AI ML follows at a much, much later stage, all right? I can tell you 10 ways to enrich, Ravi, your data today. Now, the larger question is, as per the DPD Act, I also worked in a data company. How much is with consent, without consent? How much of it do you have the right to store, and so on? So, my humble submission, as an industry, we need to genuinely start having much more solid, positive conversations on data, which is not saying the right stuff on this stage, but actually following it up with action. And I think AI ML will automatically follow.
Right.
Sorry, went contra,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I just think it's too early for a regulator to step in. We haven't framed our questions properly. We still have to get our data thoughts sorted out in practice.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Upendra. Now, if you look at the language of AI, taking data from somebody or taking my own data for furthering my business, cross-selling, upselling, something that we do. How far we are right? Now, AI has spread its wings across the globe, and there are a lot of divided opinions on whether that itself is right or wrong. Last month, I was in Hong Kong on an event where both people from the Western world as well as the Eastern world were there. People talk about AI, generative AI, current AI. There are 8 to 9 steps. They kept on talking, and I was listening. And finally, somebody talked about responsible AI. Am I taking data from my own customer? Is it correct to do it? We used the term cross-selling, upselling. It's all correct, is what we have been taking for granted. Suddenly, some questions have come. Leave alone taking data from somebody, a banker taking a data of an insurance company taking a data from bank, or cross-selling from dealers. Okay. With my own data, if I am to cross-sell, am I right or wrong? Is it responsible? Is the questions. I'm not saying yes or no to anything. These are the questions that, and there were divided opinions on the ethics of responsible AI, right? So this is where taking data we take for granted, use artificial intelligence against natural stupidity. I don't know whether natural is intelligent, artificial stupidity, I don't know. But then ultimately at the end of the day, taking data of somebody and analyzing everything, whether it is right or wrong, whatever it is, I don't know. I'd like to hear from Dr. Sharma.
So two things. There's no black money or white money. There is money. It's only one. There are haves and have-nots. The ones who don't have it say he has black money, he has taken it from wrong sources, he's rich, so he is corrupt. He doesn't know how to behave with people, he's unethical, he's not genuine. Right, tomorrow the same fellow starts philanthropy trust. Everybody is in a queue. I treat data as the same. So there's no right data or wrong data. Data is data. The way you treat it, the way you source it, and the way you use it, it all determines what is the intention. If I have a banking customer and using his data helps me to target him or reach out to him in a manner where I can suggest that your health insurance is something which is more important at this juncture rather than investing in stocks, I am using the data with the right intention. There is no ethical boundary or there is no line which needs to be drawn. The customer is going to come back to me. If I see somebody buying a third car or a fourth car and I have his data, as an insurer, I can go back and tell him that you can at least sell off one of the cars, reinvest the money, we'll give you a better insurance deal to you. The data is currency. So as I said in the beginning, कि कोई 2 रुपया नहीं होता है, कोई 10 रुपया नहीं होता है, रुपया रुपया होता है. डाटा डाटा है, आप उसको कैसे इस्तेमाल करते हैं, शराब की तरह या शरबत की तरह, ये आपको डिसाइड करना है. There is no boundary unless it is used in the interest of the customer. Also, to tell you one more interesting aspect of it, the more the layers you add to AI and ML, the more you are making the life of the customer complex. Right. Earlier, people used to join one company, retire from the same company, because the same company used to take care of anything and everything, right? With a 5% increment, but a child getting free education and your mother getting free operation. It's taken care of. Your festivals were celebrated in the same community. You're happy and you stick to that company or the brand you used to start with. Same is with the company which will be using the data responsibly and making sure that the customer is not troubled, but aided, will win the battle. I rest my case. I hope I have contributed something.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. So it's just to hear the views of the expert panelists on responsible AI, because that's a new thing. That's a debate going across the globe. While everybody has gone to AI in a big way, there is a debate on how far we can do it, how far we can't. At this juncture, I'd like to go to Ankit and ask him, see, digital transformation, AI, using of everything is perfectly fine. But then when Insurtech companies come to any insurance company and tell me, this is what I want last 10 years data to analyze and give you what will be your top line in the next 5 years, what will be your top line in the next 3 years, what will be everything you give me. And these guys, insurance company, no, I'm not doing, I'm a hardcore insurance guy, which means that 20 years with United India and 15 years with AXA. So I'm a pure insurance guy. But thing is, they say data. No, data very difficult. I can give you last 2 years, 5 years data. Then the Insurtech guy said, no, if you want to go into the algorithms and project who will be a new customer, etc., at least I require 5 years data. Data, availability of data is one problem. Number two, migrations happening from traditional systems to new systems. The cost of migration is very high, so I'm unable to do that. I'd like to hear from you, such a big company like Bajaj, have you experienced any such challenges on migration or with regard to data?
Sure, thanks for that question. And on a lighter note, if somebody comes and says that, give me your last 10 years data and I'll tell you how much of insurance premium you can collect. I mean, that in itself is a joke, right? Because if that kind of analysis is possible, right, then each and every insurance company and the penetration today that we see in India, would flourish like anything, right? But on a serious front, yes, data, of course, from an insurance standpoint is a challenge, right? But if you do it right, because we have also done our, migration, right? Our legacy system, we have also, perhaps we were the first one to go onto the cloud, right? For our policy admin, right? Now, you can understand, an insurance company, as you already know, such a humongous data, a lot of it unstructured as well, right? Moving on to cloud, obviously, that's going to be a challenge, right? But if you do it right, if you get your pieces right, and if you know that, what is the end objective that you want to achieve, right? And keeping the customer here again is important, because this is the customer data that you will be migrating and you will be playing, right? So keeping the customer interest at the center and also looking at the regulatory aspect. Since we talked about regulatory, let me add that point. The way I look at regulatory is, it's absolutely black and white. There is no gray area when it comes to regulations. Either you are following the regulation or you're not following the regulation, right? And it's up to an ex company to decide that as a company, which way I want to go, right?
Either 0 or 100.
There is no in between.
Right.
Either you follow or you don't follow, right?
Right.
There is nothing like a jugaad here that you're going to put some jugaad on the regulation and say that, I'll manage. There is nothing like manage in a regulation, right? So keeping the regulations in mind, keeping the customer interest in mind, right? And the end objective, if you keep all this together, the data migration, it's a cakewalk, right? But if you try to complicate these three things, where you're not looking at the customer interest and you're only looking at your interest, you are surpassing certain regulations, you're not keeping the customer interest in mind, yes, there will be problems because you're going the wrong way.
Right. Thanks, Ankit. So I'll ask one more question to you, because you said about the data migration, and I fully appreciate your answer on that. While we do data migration, it's quite expensive because the resources are very high. So if I say, categorize this data into critical data as well as non-critical data. Say critical data is this, non-critical data is this. And if you are to take an insurance policy, there are 180 fields to be filled in, out of which I require only 40 to be migrated, not the 180. So let me decide what is the critical data. So on somewhere I decide between critical and non-critical while migrating from the legacy systems. Do you find, in order to acquire new customer generation, some of the fields you have found, because the tech guy comes and tells you, please identify critical and non-critical. Have you ever experienced that with you in migration?
No, absolutely apt question, and that's the discussion usually, as you rightly mentioned, the tech teams do come back. What is the ROI of actually migrating this X critical fields, right? And I'm not going to obviously tell you the exact fields, right? Because I can't share that.
No, I know.
Right?
You didn't.
But yes, that's a very critical point, in terms of taking a decision that which all data fields need to be migrated or not, right? The simple answer actually is, you need to have a foresighted approach and say that by migrating this particular data field, what is the value that you will deliver tomorrow to the customer? If you have an answer to that question, then yes, that field becomes critical.
Okay.
Right? And I'll tell you, not an insurance example, but linked to data, a very quick example as a personal experience I faced. I was, flying back to India from another country, and my flight got delayed. Right? And typically what happens is that when the flight gets delayed, the airline will give you the dabba, right, with some juices, cookies, sandwiches and all. Right? Now, this particular airline did not do anything of that sort. One crew member walks up to me, recognizes me, says that, Mr. Goenka, we really are apologetic on this entire delay. However, this was beyond our operational control. However, till the time you are waiting to get onboarded, why don't you enjoy this drink? And we believe that this is the same thing that you enjoy when you're onboarded. Now, for the next 3 hours, I was just on a piece of paper, I actually wrote down the entire flowchart. That how did they actually make this happen? Now, if you really look at the elements, data is the critical part, right? And to the point of critical, non-critical. Now, here the data critical is that Ankit Goenka, onboarded, enjoys a X drink. Now, somebody may come and say that, why do you really need to look at that data, right? But this particular airline actually thought further steps ahead and said that in case there is a flight delay, I'm going to utilize this particular data field in delivering a value to the customer. Now, as a customer, in that particular scenario, there could be a school of thought where I say that how can they actually take my personal preference in their database without my consent? But for me, in this scenario, as a person, I said, I don't care.
Exactly.
Right? Because I am getting a value out of my data. The company is not getting the value out of this data. Yes, long-term value is because now, if I want to fly in that country, I will only choose that airline. Right? Because now I have become a loyal customer to that airline. So it's all depends upon what you really want to do with that data field. Right? If you have that answer, it is the critical data set. If you don't have an answer, I mean, that data is no data to you. Absolutely no data.
Thank you, Ankit.
Ravi,
Yeah.
just in the interest of time also, since we are talking about new customer acquisition and there are multiple players here, I just want to share a dimensionality which I think is an opportunity getting left out, and also a segment which is extremely important for India. We usually talk a lot about retail individuals and corporates. What I think we need more dialogue is about SMEs. I'll just share with you a snippet of work that I've done for a bank, all right? It's very simple. And I'll tell you how you can translate that to insurance. The bank's objective was, I want to open current accounts. Can you tell me where I should go, whom I should target, and what I should sell? Got it? Where I should go, whom I should target, what should I sell? Now, how is it done today? You take out the map of India, or you call up the agent in Ludhiana and say, boss, 1000 account kholne hain, tum jao. There is no science to it. You can actually today apply 200 to 300 layers of data in a place like Tirupur, which will first tell you where are the emerging districts, where are the high, you have GST data, which tells you where cloth traders are. It will give you the distribution of how many are 1 crore plus and how many are less than 1 crore, all right? It will tell you how long they have been in existence. It will tell you where they are located. You have data, spatial data, which tells you footfalls. Where are people going? You have data telling you about emergency services. You have data telling you how many instances of fire that are happening in a certain area. So, in a simple language, if as an insurance company or a broker, I want to go to Tirupur, I want to sell fire insurance to restaurants. Even before entering the market, you have data telling you, go to the north, there are 500 restaurants, 50 lakh turnover and above. There have been 10 instances of fire and 30 instances of claims in this micro-geography. This is a product I want to sell there. Now can I either go myself or appoint an agent to sell? Now, once again, the reason I'm saying it is, I think SME is a vastly overlooked and underpenetrated opportunity. What banks have done is used SME product to get through to the proprietor. Because in India, the reality is most SMEs are proprietorships. So I might go to sell a current account. I will then sell a working capital loan. Then I will open the savings account to the proprietor. Then I will sell a mortgage on the personal account. Then I will give the child's education loan. So the day we understand that the proprietor is the heart of the family unit, you are basically getting two relationships. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is when we look at the subject of new customer acquisition, how effectively can we use data which is already there to start making some smart choices? So can I send a sales guy to the north of Tirupur saying these are 500 restaurants, I want you to sell 50 policies in the next 10 days, this is how I'm pricing it. I can also make a pre-custom policy because I already know the turnover of that retail establishment. That is the extent to which you can go. Sir, to some of the observations that you made, there are these things which are possible, which can be done if we just step back and see how other industries are using data. What is it that I want to achieve? Now, if I'm able to get through to that restaurant, then can I sell life insurance? Can I sell health insurance? Can I sell automobile insurance? If he has a commercial vehicle, can I sell him a commercial vehicle insurance? I can. The proprietor is the lifeblood of our country. We have massively overrated the retail health individual. I'm saying it's time for the industry to start a conversation purely on SME in India. That is that's a nuclear opportunity which we are massively ignoring.
Thank you, Upendra, for the insights. Before I get
Sorry, went away, but...
So we are slightly running out of time. So before we end the session, the last question I'll be asking Sharma. To give a prelude to that, I just thought I'll share my experience. Have been mentoring a company, tech company, and doing it in the Middle East and African markets. Our first thing is not insurance companies. We are just looking at the brokers first for digital transformation. So working closely with one of the top 2 brokers in the Middle East who are having an international presence. So we told them, using AI, these are the things which they can do a better customer experience using AI tools with this particular software. We are almost in the advanced stage of closure of the contract. So till such time, I don't want to mention the name, but at the same time, customer experience is enhanced through AI. So your thoughts?
So when it comes to AI, the only one dialogue I remember of Amitabh Bachchan ki aaj khush to bahut hoge tum. Aaj khush to bahut hoge tum. Customer experience is all about making sure that we reach out to everybody, anybody, whether it is AI, without AI. What you mentioned in case of brokers or insurance partners in our Indian context, and as Sir said, we are still at a very, very, very nascent stage in understanding the customer and his behavior. Fortunately, I also engage with the behavioral lab at IIM Ahmedabad, which is supported by National Stock Exchange. And we found that we are still in the phase of collecting data, synthesizing data at a very, very, very low level and a very slow pace. Let me also tell you. As you said, by the time the analysis arrives, the customer is actually moved out. So he's no more in your target zone. By the time you pick up 5, 10, 15 data points, 20 or 30 of them, and you analyze to find out that this is the right set of customer or is the right segment where I should target. You design the conduct for the customer, the product for the customer, the experience for the customer. He is actually graduated to another level. It is like you were struggling with AI, a DeepSeek has suddenly emerged on Earth. Taking from your example, and as I mentioned in National Stock Exchange, fortunately I was given a project where we were trying to find out how suddenly the retail investment in National Stock Exchange is increasing multifold, right? From few lakh accounts to crores and multiplying on a pace you could have never imagined, we never thought of. And it was a fear also because it could have been something which could have triggered a downfall. And we analyzed the data. So interesting thing from it is, we found housewives based out of Surat, Baroda, Ahmedabad were doing intraday trading. Trading. Morning, they would invest 5, 7, 10,000 rupees as you have that kitty wala stuff. Track the share for the full day. 3:15 they'll sell. Gone. The same money was circulating. By the time a company or a broker like Angel or any other, they failed to spot the trend. We were able to do it because we were a research company, we were working on it. So the final part of it is use AI intelligently make sure the customer experience is related to your product basis the touch points that you can generate through AI. And be on the mark. What most of the companies, whether it is insurance or fintech, you are not on the mark. By the time you start thinking that what is the new product which I can finance, the customer has actually availed that service or moved out to another company who is giving it. So quick loans are another aspect which we are seeing. Use of AI is tremendous use of data is happening in quick loans. Whether it is a salary advance or a small loan, your holiday trip loan, any other loan. But their smart use of AI is what is defining their customer experience. I'll tell you, in near future, you will find customers complaining about your app is outdated. Where you're putting truckloads of money to make sure your apps are updated and the data is back-end is integrated. There's a omni-channel, there's a robot and a bot and everything is coming. I find some customers coming up and saying, and not with my company, obviously, where I do the research part of it, they say your apps are outdated. We don't find the level of service which we were expecting. So that's where another dimension which I'm adding, maybe the next panel can take it up and discuss on that.
Thank you. Thank you, Upendra. Thank you, Dr. Sharma. Thank you, Ankit, for the wonderful insights. And more essentially, thank you, participants, for the post-lunch session, listening patiently. Thank you so much.